Now to conclude heats day, it's the final heat, groups A versus B for DD2 and DD2 Masters. Let's take you through the starting grid one more time today. So Fredrik Zevis Christensen will be lining up on pole position. Alongside him on the front row will be Belgium's Nicolas Guillaume in the 491. Row 2, it's the 441 of Estonia's Ragnar Vidas and the 407 of Germany's Nikita Genza. It's France and Denmark on row 3 with the 451 of Jules Cousin and the 422 of William Christensen. Rafael Jesus from the UAE in the 418 will be joined by Latvia's Thomas Birstins on row 4 in the 411. France and Lithuania complete the top 10 courtesy of the 414 of Noah Hipp and the 435 of Maxim Shirkov. Michael Becker in the 504 and Martin Zinovskis in the 420. Round out row 6 with an all DD2 Masters row 7, courtesy of Carl Clebon in the 540 and the 599 of Christophe Capitain. Victor Frostbay in the 430 will be joined by the 448 of Victor Sendin on row 8, with Luca Neuenhausen in the 488 and Kian de Brandt on the 450 entry will complete row 9. Completing the top 20, Jan Eckstein in the 421 and Niels Böhler on the 522. With Axel Goes in the 455. The 529 of Camille Kubera, the 515 of Sang Hung Hoon and the 428 of Dylan LaHaye completing the grid. Great comment there, Roger Young. Estonian Viking Ragnar who doesn't drink, and then several beer glass emojis and a few laugh out loud emojis for good measure. Throughout 37, what category is this? It's DD2 and DD2 Masters. It's a 2-speed gearbox category, partnered with a 125 Rotax Max Evo engine. So it's going to be down to Fredrik Zevis Christensen and Nicolas Guillaume to control the pace on the rolling start. Into the tram lines, red lights are on. It's a full start. Race director not happy with the formation and sends them around again for another lap. So 10 minutes on the timer plus an additional lap, and then we've also got the red lights reignited on the starting gantry for the second time of asking. Once everything's good to go, they will let them loose and they will accelerate towards turns 1 and 2. Brilliant weather all day so far today. Sunshine, highs of 26 degrees Celsius. Air temperature, humidity still has been stationary at around about 39–40% all day long. So the field makes its way out of the final corner. Revs rise, lights are on. Lights are out. Second time of asking. Zevis Christensen leads DD2 and DD2 Masters Heat 3 into turn numbers 1 and 2. And Guillaume using the runoff area, but Ragnar Vidas trying to go around the outside. He's trying to keep it pinned. Could not get through for second. Jules Cousin might have had an opportunity to leapfrog past the Estonian in third place through out of turns 3 and 4, but there was no opportunity there for that to happen. Noah Hipp past Thomas Berstins on the start. Rafael Jesus has got past William Christensen. Early goings as the drivers make their way out of turn number 9. As one of the drivers looks to go up the inside. One of the Door Motorsport carts went a little bit wide. That could have been Nikita Genza. Out through turn number 10. And has got a couple of drivers right behind. Bitterson's being one, Shurko being one, Michael Becker being there too. Nikita Genza has dropped to 7th place and might be under threat from, and he is under threat from Thomas Bitterson's. The 411. Roger, it's good to be back on the mic. But of course now, these drivers are going to be pushing hell for leather over the next 8.5 minutes. And it's not going to be easy. Genza has got an absolute freight train of competitive drivers right behind him. Birstins, Shurko amongst others. Karl Klebor being one of them as well. He might be one of the more veteran drivers in the DD2 Masters category, but if you get him on a good day, Karl Klebor can pedal as well as anybody in the DD2 class, let alone Masters. Dylan LaHaye nearly tripping up over somebody else. As through goes somebody, Janowskis went through on Becker at turn 2. And it's going to be a change for second. Overtake carried out by Ragnar Virus, but the crossover has been attempted and has been completed by Nicolas Guillaume. William Christensen gets through. Jules Cousin gets through. So Ragnar Virus from second down the Europalan, and by the exit of turn number 7 finds himself in the clutches of Francis Noah Hip in the 414, and more than anything else, finds himself in 5th. Guillaume looks to go up the inside of Christensen, gets the job done. That's P2 for the Belgian. Now Cousin pulls the trigger. He also gets through at turn 2 using the slipstream down the long start finish straights and into the fast right-hand kink. It's very deceptive, turns 1 and 2, and the reason being you've got to be flat out through the kink, then you're hard on the brakes, and then you've got to turn the kart in. As Christensen was looking up the inside of Cousin through turn 7. No room there for the Dane to get through on the Frenchman. Now Virtus looking up the inside. Neat move there by the Estonian on the Dane of William Christensen. The 422 loses out of position and goes down to 5th, but then attacks once again up the inside of the Estonian through out of turn number 12. Genza is there. Hip is there. There's several other drivers that really could factor in to the bottom part of the top 5. As one of the drivers gets muscled out a little bit, it was the 418 of Rafael Jesus from the United Arab Emirates. Frederick Zebis Christensen has a lead of over 7/10 of a second over Nicolas Guillaume. Jules Cousin now rounds out the top 3. But it's Ragnar Virus. William Christensen now looking for the move up the inside into Cafe Corner at turn 10. Makes the move stick. And also in that time, Nikita Genza stays ahead of Noah Hip. Several drivers deciding to go very, very deep under braking into the final corner at turn number 12. Nikita Genza again defends against Noah Hip, who's got someone up the inside, and that was Maxim Shurko through the 435 from Lithuania with a team, if it's the Lithuanian Viral Art Squad. I'm sure that a certain Martinas Stankovičius will be in action here this coming week for the first round of the Rotax Max Challenge Euro Trophy. These days, well, now being run through WSK Promotion SRL. So Frederick Zebis Christensen still continues to lead with 4.5 minutes to go. And he's trying to pull that gap a little bit further away from Nicolas Guillaume, who's trying his best. But at the moment, Christensen seems to have Guillaume's number. The gap is just over 7/10 of a second. But Guillaume has responded with the fastest lap of the race so far, 55.137 seconds. So several drivers are in the mix for at least third or second position. Victor Frostbait has managed to make up 5 places and has now reached 10th place. So from 15th to 10th, Dylan LaHaye, nearly halfway through the field at the moment, is the 428 from Belgium, running with SP Motorsport. He still has a chance to get into the top 10. He's got Michael Becker, Martin Zianovskis and Victor Frostbait in front of him. And there they are, just coming into shot just briefly through into turn number 12. Sebis Christensen just keeping a consistent pace. Looking at the previous lap times. Previous lap time from Fredrik Sebis Christensen, 55.180. A 55.217 on lap 6, a 55.417 on lap 5. Nicolas Guillaume, however, it was slightly different. Was nearly a tenth slower on lap 5, a 55.509 to the 55.137 on lap 6, and did a 55.241. So the pendulum is swinging one way or the other, but not to a significant extent that Guillaume is trying to close that gap. But Sebis Christensen not letting it happen. Nikita Genzer just flung it up the inside of Ragnar Veres as if it was nothing, and Veres tries to do, I remember a certain move attempted by Max Timmermans on Jordan Brown-Nutley back in April of 2018 in that same part of the circuit, and they both came together. The good thing was Ragnar Veres was wise to it, decided, I'm not going to go for it, I'm not going to chance it, I need to be as high up the order as possible to facilitate my grid place for the superheat tomorrow. That's very, very important indeed. The higher up the order you finish, the less points you score, and that helps. If it's 36 karts on a grid, that will be one superheat only, whereas Dylan LaHaye has not finished what he started about 8 minutes and 20 seconds ago. He is now, I think, might be in the top 10. Let's wait for it to come on in. Dylan LaHaye now 10th. So from 24th to 10th position, 14 places gained, and new fastest lap, a 54.666 for the 428 from SP Motorsport. And he is closing in on Thomas Birsins from Latvia, the 411. But in the meantime, what did I say about Nicolas Guillaume? He's going to start fighting. He's going to start pulling that gap closer and closer. Well, Fredrik Sebis Christensen is not out of the wilderness yet. With a minute to go, Guillaume has got the fire lit in the belly. There's going to be 2 more laps to go once we cross the line this time. Lap 10 completed, 2 to go. Gap is less than 2.7 tenths. And Guillaume went a tenth of a second quicker than Sebis Christensen on that previous lap. So into turn 6 for what is more than likely going to be the penultimate time here on heat day. Timer is counting down, and Guillaume senses an opportunity and will wait until the last moment when he knows that Fredrik Sebis Christensen will not be able to retaliate and counter that attack to retake the lead into turn 10. Timer now expires. Out of turn 11 come the 2 leaders. 1 more lap to go in the final heat of the day here on Heats Day for the opening round of the season. 0.3 is the gap. Sebis Christensen might have done enough in his mind, but Guillaume will want to win the race, because then you have 3 different race winners from 3 different heats. It was Maxime Dirix in the opening heat, Fredrik Sebis Christensen in heat 2, and looks to do the double. But Guillaume could make it very interesting in the superheat if he's able to pull off an absolute miracle. But at the minute, he might just decide, you know what, I'd love to have the win, that'd be great, but I might be better off conserving, ready for tomorrow. But it's going to be out of the final corner. De Rix won the first heat. It's heats 2 and 3 because out of the final corner, Fredrik Zebbis Christensen from Denmark wins the final heat of the day, and more importantly, that of DD2 and DD2 Masters by just over 2.5 tenths of a second in front of Nicolas Guillaume. William Christensen makes it a Danish 1-3 ahead of Jules Cousin. Nikita Genza rounds out P5 ahead of Maxime Shurko. Noah Hipp, Dylan LaHaye finishes in 8th place. And you'll probably have an understanding why when I go down the rest of the finishing order. Victor Frostbay, 9th. Martin Zianovskis, 10th. Thomas Birstins, 11th. Carl Clebot, Victor Sendin, Christophe Capitan, Rafael Jesus, Luca Neuenhausen, Axel Goes, Neil Berler, Kian de Brandt, Jan Eckstein, Camille Kubera, Sung Hung Moon, and Ragnar Virus ends up 23rd. Michael Becker out with a lap to go. So I think there were dramas towards the bottom part of the top 10. Becker out, Virus down at the bottom. But Fredrik Zebbis Christensen from RS Competition provisionally books his place on pole position for the superheat tomorrow morning.